MicroStrategy just announced a 10-to-1 stock split. The stock split on paper looks like it's going to get a lot cheaper, which could very well bring in more excitement and buyers from MicroStrategy stock. But remember, most people do not understand what a stock split actually does. And luckily, I'm here to teach you the truth behind stock splits, as we've done in the past on several videos. But if you're new to the channel, it's a great way to learn a little bit more. So let's first start by breaking down MicroStrategy stock to see if it's a buy. Now, guys, MicroStrategy has gotten a lot of attention lately, being a high flyer. Look at this. In year to date, it's up 136%. In the last 3 months, 21%. In the last year, 260%. This stock has flown high. Now you might be wondering, oh, what do they do? Let me show you what they write in our description. MicroStrategy is a provider of enterprise analytics and mobility software. It offers MicroStrategy analytics platform that delivers reports and dashboards and enables users to conduct ad hoc analysis and share insights through mobile devices or blah, 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 blah. What it doesn't mention here is a big thing. This is the reason the stock is up so much. Michael Saylor, one of their founders, former CEO, and current chairman, has been buying up a lot of Bitcoin, and he has been doing it well. He spent a lot of money last year. He spent over $1 billion in the first 3 months of 2024 buying Bitcoin. And I'm sure on paper, their gains are insane. But it's very, very important that you realize that they're also buying with debt. This is an article from March 15th of 2024. MicroStrategy increases their convertible loan to $525 million to buy more Bitcoin. Now, one thing I want you to understand about debt. When you use debt to buy something that's going up, you feel flawless. You feel invincible. And this is done very well. The issue is, what happens if all of a sudden Bitcoin falls by a large amount? That's going to decrease the assets on their books, but the liability of that $525 million is going to stay. I'm not here to pontificate on Bitcoin. I'm not here to sit there and say whether I think it's an asset for the future or not. That's for you to decide. I've clearly made my case in other videos, and I'm very active on Twitter talking about it. But even then, I believe in real estate immensely. I don't like it when people want to take on too much debt for real estate. It's just, in itself, having debt has its issues. Do I have debt? Absolutely. I own I own 1,000 apartments. I own several single family homes. I own properties in different tropical areas, and we have debt on them. But like I'd always say to people, 95% debt is a lot different than 70% debt, a lot different than 50% debt. 95% debt when things are going up, that's awesome. That's what developers are doing in 06 and 07. But you have a pullback in prices of 10% and you are wiped out and then some. So you always have to be careful, especially when there's a lot of hype surrounding an asset, that people who take on debt aren't taking on more than they should. That's the scary part. Now, overall, here's another part that's interesting to me, their free cash flow. But my guess is this free cash flow is because they're buying some Bitcoin. Let's go look at their cash flow statement and break this down. Their free cash flow is negative over the last 5 years. I'm wondering how much of this is all from buying Bitcoin. Is that considered their capital expenditure? I don't know. But I'm looking at this company at the same time frame that you're looking at it with me. I didn't do some earlier analysis to come in with some bias here. I did find this article and that was it. But look at this. Look at how their capital expenditures changed. 20 million, 13 million, 2 million, 4 million, 7 million, 10 million, 1.13 billion, 2.6 billion, 290 million, 1.9, 3. And in the last year, 3.37. Guys, the scariest part to me was, I believe this is when Bitcoin had its biggest fall. They stopped buying. So they seem to be buying Bitcoin as it becomes more and more popular, which is momentum trading can be a very powerful and profitable way to invest and trade. I keep using that word, invest and trade. They're totally different things. Now, if a lot of money is being bet on this and it goes well, this company will absolutely kill it. But what if it doesn't go well? I will say this, price to sales ratio is 49. As an example, let's go look up Microsoft. What this basically says is, how much do you pay for every dollar of sales? Microsoft, I think, is overpriced. They're at 14. And again, MicroStrategy at 49. All right. What about Google, a highly profitable venture? They're at 8. Okay. Let's look at Apple. They're at 9.5. Let's look at NVIDIA. I believe to be one of the most overpriced companies out there. 40 times. It's even less than MicroStrategy. That's kind of concerning to me. Look at NVIDIA's gross margin. 75%. What's MicroStrategy's gross margin? MicroStrategy, gross margin, 77%. Pretty much lockstep. So I look at this saying, all right, do they even care? Is this bet about the business? I don't think it is. Because even look at their net income. That income, they don't even make money here. So I look at this company saying, all right, yeah, they have $489 million in revenue and a $28 billion market cap. This is a bet on Bitcoin. That's purely what this is. Nothing I'm going to say or do is going to matter except for Bitcoin. That's going to drive the value here. If Bitcoin is massively successful and goes to $500,000 per coin or $1 million per coin, this company is going to kill it. But the question is, what is more likely? What's the likely outcome for Bitcoin? That's for you to decide. A lot of people can argue about Bitcoin, all these things. And guess what? In our community, they do argue about Bitcoin a lot. There are people on both sides here. I sit there and you know where I stand on Bitcoin. I think in its current form it is not an investable asset. It's not a store of value. You can't have 20, 30% fluctuations in value consistently and think that's a good store of value. That's just too volatile if you ask me. Have I been wrong? Of course I've been wrong so far. But what does the future hold? I think that Bitcoin follows the price of tech. And when tech is euphoric and high, Bitcoin's euphoric and high. When tech is low, Bitcoin is low. In the last few months alone, Bitcoin has gone from 40,000 to 71,000, down to 50-some thousand, and now it's up to 62. It's just all over the place. MicroStrategy will make a ton of money as Bitcoin goes up. That's a way in which to make money off of Bitcoin, but they are taking on debt to do that. Let's go look at their balance sheet to understand this better. Let's look at their total liabilities. This is the last 10 years. 234, 201, 216 million, 328, 326, 400, 900, 2.6, 2.8, 2.6 billion, and the recent one, $4 billion. So they've gone up almost 20x in their total liabilities, while their revenue has gone down. Revenue of 580 million, down to 489. Their debt is up 20x. Again, this is purely a bet on Bitcoin's price. And MicroStrategy's 10-for-1 stock split, which we haven't even touched on yet. Remember, a stock split does nothing to make a stock cheaper. All it does is this. Let's say you have a pizza, big pizza, and right now it has 4 shares. All a stock split does, 2-for-1, is this. Guys, the pizza is the same size. There are just more slices of it. That's it. And before, if a slice was $4, now it's cut in half and it's $2. All they're trying to do is get more excitement for their stock. Why? My guess is if I were them, I'd be selling shares like crazy as my stock goes up to buy more Bitcoin instead of taking on debt. So let's go see what they've been doing. Oh, look. Funny we should bring that up. Number of shares outstanding are up 71% in the last 5 years. Guys, I'm going to go on a limb and say something very, 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 very extreme. MicroStrategy is either going to be one of the best investments ever or one of the worst investments ever. And if I were a betting person, based on where we are in the market, it is more likely that it's one of the worst investments ever than one of the best investments ever. But guess what? I've been wrong on hype many, many times before. Absolutely. And I encourage you to do your own research. But it's really important to have like-minded people around you. You need to be able to sit there and have like-minded people. When I say like-minded, not necessarily people who agree with you word for word, but who have the same thought process that you do. Now, if you've watched our videos many times before, I'm very big on having a mindset for how we look at things. You're not going to agree with me and you shouldn't agree with me on everything. I'm not here to tell you what to buy and what not to buy. I'm here to teach my process and tell you my thoughts on different investments. I look at MicroStrategy and say, that's not right for me. I don't care for Bitcoin. And I think it's a lot of hype around it. And I think borrowing money in order to do it and diluting investors in order to buy it is a scary proposition. One that I don't think I've ever heard working well in history. Taking on more and more debt and diluting investors to go do something. That's kind of hard for me to get my head around. Now, guys, you have noticed, I'm sure, that we have a limited number of daily spots for the Everything Money community and software. And the reason for that is because the software as exists today includes everything we have to offer for stocks, retirement, and real estate, like up here. Now, behind the scenes, we're making a lot of changes so that in the near future, that current offer is going away. As we've been getting feedback from our community members, people have expressed that they want us to focus on specific aspects of the Everything Money tools that apply to them at this very moment in time. They don't want to be confused with too many options when they're using the software. We don't want to be the Cheesecake Factory of software. And if you've been watching our channel for a while, you'll remember that this software was built selfishly for myself so that my team and I could use it to constantly make the right decisions for stocks, real estate, and retirement. But as the channel's grown and as our community has grown, it's becoming less about me and more about how I can better serve you and our community members. Now, the good news is we have not made those changes yet. So if you join today, you'll be grandfathered in for life with all of the tools. This is going to be the best deal we are ever going to offer. And I'm telling you this now because there's still time for you to sign up as long as you join the EM community today before we make the changes. You'll be able to keep all the tools even after those changes have been made. So click the link in the description below to get access to everything we have to offer, and it'll be the best decision you've made all year. So in recap of MicroStrategy, I'm not here to say where it's going to go, how high, how low. I will say this is, my opinion, a bet on Bitcoin because the numbers don't make sense for it as a company. And on top of that, I want you to realize there's going to be a lot of volatility involved. If you're okay for that, that's up to you. But don't be in denial that this is a bet on Bitcoin and this is going to be heavily volatile. I want you to just remember that. So if you want to see the 33 companies that I either own or want to own in the future, check out our next video. Thank you very much for your time.